Hello, thanks for joining us. Graham Wallace here, Belly Up Sports Blue Jays beat writer. I'm joined here today by Julie Mulholland. She's our baseball intern, been doing a great job with the graphic design for the website. We're going to do a quick MLB standings live reactions. Thanks for joining me here today, Julie. So
Thanks
we're
for
going to,
having
oh, I'm sorry. Thanks very much. So we're going to jump right into it, going into the MLB standings here. And full disclosure, I have not taken a look at this at all. I have a pretty good idea of who's doing well, but this is the full reveal. These are going to be my true reactions. So we'll see what we got here, starting in the American League East. So nothing that I'm looking at here is necessarily super surprising to me. The only thing is that Tampa Bay has taken the lead. They've been really hot over the last 2 or 3 weeks or so. See Boston nipping at their heels, just 1 game back. Yankees 4.5 back, and my Blue Jays. I said in the piece I'm going to come out with later, they're the best 4th place team in baseball right now. For me, Boston is the big surprise here. I thought they would be around 500. They've been a lot better than that. The lineup hitting well doesn't surprise me at all. The pitching's been a lot better than I expected, especially the starting pitching. Anything surprising you at first glance there, Julie?
When I first looked at it, honestly, I agree Boston was pretty surprising, but where the Yankees are was also a little surprising. I expected them to be a little better, but that might just be how their fans act too, because I feel like they kind of overhype them sometimes, but so do I as a fan of the Reds. So that was shocking. Baltimore, not so much. And Toronto, they're getting up there. They're about to sweep the Cleveland baseball team. So
Oh,
possibly.
okay. Giving up on this already. It's 4-0 in
It was
the
4-0.
4th inning. This is a seven
Might as
inning
well.
game, we should say. Yeah, I'm always interested to hear other baseball fans' perspective on the Blue Jays. Obviously, I'm a bit of a homer, a bit unbiased there. I didn't think the Orioles would be quite as bad as they are, honestly. Maybe that was a bad take. 13-game losing streak they're on right now. Definitely in contention for that #1 pick. Perhaps the worst team in baseball at this point. A little surprised with the Reds. Sorry, not the Reds, the Rays. Excuse me. We'll get to the Reds later on. They had a bit of a turbulent offseason, getting rid of Blake Snell and making a few different moves, but I've learned to trust what they're doing. They know what they're doing, and I think they'll be near the top or at the top of that race throughout the season. Maybe we could do this again in September and see where we wind up, but no big surprises there. As we move into the Central now. Is this the White Sox division to lose? I think they're clearly the best team out of these 5 teams. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, they are. Cleveland, they're just very inconsistent. Sometimes they can hit, and other times most of the time, it seems like they don't string hits together to actually score and produce runs at all. They scare me a little bit, but I still see them finishing second, especially, I don't know.
Well, they don't have a lot of.
Cleveland finishing second. Chicago,
Okay.
I think, has it in the bag.
Oh, already. I mean, Cleveland's just a half game. Oh, sorry, 4 games back. Pardon me. At this point in time, but it could be, that could seem much more than that, just because their offense is pretty lackluster at times. Looking up and down the lineup, I think Ramirez is hitting a little bit, and one of their other outfielders has gotten it going a little bit. Hector Ramirez, the 2 Ramirez have been hitting. The other guys, not so much. I'm losing the guy's name they got from the White Sox. The Twins.
I can't think of the top of my head.
No, that's okay.
I was gonna say something. What was I gonna say? Well, the fact that they've been no hit twice, so
yes,
that's a little amazing.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tough team to watch. Sorry, Rosario is the guy I was thinking of. He's gotten a little bit hot lately, and he's had a whole 30 home run season in his career, but it's a little bit of a tough team to watch sometimes. The other team I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit from this division is the Royals. I kind of thought they had a really nice offseason. They brought in Carlos Santana, Mike Minor, Michael A. Taylor, by no means guys that you would get really excited about, but they're major league players. And they got off to a really hot start. They took 3 or 4 from the Jays early on in the season. They've kind of come back to life a little bit. Do you think they're going to be around 500 at best, kind of maybe third place
Um,
at best case scenario for this team?
yeah, I maybe a little over 500. I don't really
Sure.
know. It could, I mean, obviously go either way.
Yeah, their pitching's been quite a bit better than I think a lot of people expected, and they do have they do have some pretty good hitters in that lineup, but I think they're a year away at least from being a serious contender at this point.
Yeah.
Obviously, Detroit and Minnesota, we're not going to spend a ton of time on them, but I will say Minnesota has to be one of the biggest disappointments in baseball this year. I think a lot of people had them slotted for either 1 or 2 in this division. Some people had them ahead of the White Sox, just 21 and 30 now. They've won 7 of their last 10. They're starting to play a little bit better. Do you think they figure out at some point, or are they eventually in too big of a hole and they're going to become sellers at the trade deadline?
I don't really think they're in that big of a hole realistically, because if I'm reading, they're only like, it's pretty close. The bottom 3 are pretty close, and honestly, this division in general, they're all pretty close. So I feel like it could go either way. I do think they're heading in the right direction. So I think they'll go above Detroit at some point. At least I would
Yeah.
hope.
Okay. It's still a lot of
That's how
baseball
I see it.
to be played, certainly. Okay.
I think they'll maybe be 3 or 4 games under 500, and that might be reaching, but I have faith.
Well, they've been such a weird team lately because they
Yeah,
always seem to get to the playoffs the last few years, and then they can't even win one game when they get there. Last season included with the expanded field, so that's got to be frustrating for fans from the Twin Cities. We're going to move ahead to the American League West right now. For me, this is a 2-team race. Obviously, Oakland's in the driver's seat right now. Houston's not far behind, just a couple of games back. Um, I don't really see this being more than a 2-team race. You got Seattle, the Angels, and Texas behind them. Seattle looks like they're in a similar boat to kind of Kansas City. They might be good in a year or two, but they're not quite there yet. Angels have Mike Trout. He's hurt right now. I know that Shohei Ohtani is a really exciting player, but once again, their pitching's not good enough. And that's pretty much been the difference as far as them not being close to being contender status. What do you think? 2-team race here?
yeah, I think it's just a 2-team race. Nothing was really shocking when I looked at this. I was just kind of like, well, yeah, I agree with everything you said. I don't really have much more to say about that.
Fair
I
enough.
think Oakland will finish out in first, but I don't know. It's pretty close.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think a lot of fans, myself included, I'm not afraid to say this, we're kind of hoping for Houston to struggle for another year or two, but
Yeah, definitely.
they have no plans on doing that. They still have a really good lineup. I think the pitching's been a lot better than expected, and Oakland just kind of keeps getting the job done. Um, they signed Mitch Moreland late in the winter, and I just knew he would be a really great signing for them. Trevor Rosenthal. They just kind of keep rolling along with their low payroll, but they find guys to get the job done, and very consistent in that regard. So I would put them as a slight favorites in the West as well. We're going to move going ahead to the National League East. For me, this has to be the most disappointing division. I thought both Atlanta and the Mets were both contenders for 90+ win seasons. They've been pretty slow out of the gate, especially Atlanta. Now, I did an article way back in, I think it was January, kind of taking a shot at the Pacoda projections. They hated the Braves. They thought they were destined for a 82 win season, I think it was. I thought that was insane. Um, Maybe they were right. Their pitching hasn't been the same. Soroka gets injured again, of course. The lineup isn't as good as it used to be. Acuna Jr. is great, but the rest of the guys haven't really figured it out. Is this the Mets kind of division to lose for now?
Um, I don't know. Atlanta, outside of just baseball, has been having problems. So I was also
Yeah,
disappointed in them. Let's just say that. I figured, I don't know. It's not shocking that the Mets are first, but I at least expected Atlanta to be above 500 at this point. But it's
yeah.
not, I mean, they're only 2 games below. But I guess I expected more, especially with how they played against my Reds last year.
Yeah, they've had a really good couple of seasons the last few years. They've won that division the last 3 years, I believe. I
Mhm.
don't really see anyone out of this race. Washington's kind of slipping behind.
Yeah.
Um, I think they might be sellers this deadline, and I actually think the Blue Jays would be very interested in one Max Scherzer. I batted that around a couple of weeks ago in one of my columns, and sure enough, MLB.com is saying that too. I don't know if that's going to happen. We'd love to have him. Um, do you think they could actually get rid of an old fireballer like Mad Max?
I don't know. um, I think so. I don't I think so. I mean, I don't really think they have a chance to really do much, but who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, well, it could be one of those situations similar to Aroldis Chapman a few years ago. He leaves the Yankees, he goes to the Cubs, but then he ends up re-signing for the Yankees with
Yeah.
the Yankees again after that World Series run. So I think Scherzer's 37, so he certainly wants to win another championship, but I could see him going back to Washington with after whatever team he ends up with, if he is in fact on the trade block. Okay, after that quick trade talk, we're going to go to the National League Central now. Pretty good race between the Cards and Cubs. This part is a bit surprising for me. Like I said, I haven't seen this. I'm not lying. I didn't know the Cubs were doing this well. They've won, actually, they're red hot. They've won 6 in a row. I projected them actually for a second place finish in my shot at predicting things way back in November. Um, Cardinals are looking pretty strong right now, and the Brewers have ridden some really solid starting pitching to be in contention in this race right now. Your Reds are kind of falling
Yeah.
off in this race a little bit. Can they stay within striking distance, or is this kind of a three-team show for now?
Oh man. I'm
Sorry,
trying
I'm
to
hitting you with
push
some
all
tough
bias
ones.
away.
Fair enough.
They have the potential. That's what upsets me because originally I honestly had them finishing second and had I think I had the Cubs first, like originally. I am very disappointed, but I don't think they're out of it because they randomly go in spurts where they like to win sometimes. I think their main problem, because I know the last couple years at least, they just like depended on the long ball way too much. And you can't win games with just like solo home runs every single time. So they're stringing hits together. That's not the problem. But one is injuries. Like there's key players that are out, and people keep getting suspended. And also
Yeah.
our pitching is kind of interesting this year. It's not bad, but it's not consistent at all. Like people I expected to do better are not doing very good. Like Castillo is just like not at his best right now and really hasn't been. I'm not really sure what's up with that. And Sonny Gray, I believe, has been hurt kind of off and on, but he's back. I know that. I know he was hurt at one point though, especially in the beginning of the season. He's been doing all right, but it's just bullpen problems too.
Yeah,
I think
I thought Castillo and Gray could be a really good kind of anchor for the start of their rotation. It hasn't necessarily really worked out that way. I thought Castillo would take that other step forward, be perhaps a Cy Young contender. Jesse Winker has been a nice bright spot for the Reds.
yes.
He's been a bit of a breakout star. He definitely has a all-star potential. With that lineup with Moustakas and Joey Votto and Suarez, you really have the potential to hit a lot of home runs. If you
Yeah.
can get some guys on base and really make them count, that could be key for them. But they certainly need to get hot in order to stay in this race, even as far as the wild card race is concerned as well. Now we're going to go to the National League West, the last division, if as far as we're going American League to National League and then East to West. This is a really intriguing division for me. Obviously, Dodgers were the favorites by everybody, not to only win this division, but very very likely win their second straight World Series. San Diego has been a pleasure to watch all season. Fernando Tatis Jr. is just a electrifying player, but I think a lot of people didn't expect the Giants to stay in the race as long as they have. They've been really impressive. They actually beat the Dodgers the last couple of games. What do you think about this team, and can they stay in the race right till September?
They definitely can. They also just beat the Reds 19-4. That was embarrassing. But
Yeah,
I did not I'm not saying I didn't expect them to be good, but I didn't expect them to be this good still, like right now with that record. That's definitely not something I was expecting.
yeah.
I did expect, not saying 31-21 is bad by any means, but I definitely expected LA and to be I mean it's only 3 games back, but be closer with San Diego. But yeah.
It's just. Oh, it's sorry, 2 games back, is it not? I'm seeing two,
Oh yeah, sorry.
but
I
still.
did not do the math there. I didn't
Oh
even look.
no, that's okay. They had that stretch when they dropped 15 out of 20
Yeah.
early in the season in April, and I think that was really surprising. Um, it's been an inability to get hits sometimes. The pitching's been really good. Um, the talk before the season started was like they almost have too many starting pitchers, but that's
Yeah.
never really the case. Things always seem to figure themselves out as far as someone struggling or getting injured or whatever like that. But I do think this is going to be a 3-team race. Giants seem real for me. I thought they were going to win about 90 games, but be in that wild card mix. But I think, you know, they can stay in this race. If the Dodgers get really hot and they win, say, 15 out of 20 instead of lose 15 out of 20 like they did earlier, they could maybe separate themselves from this pack. But those Dodger Padre games have been must-see TV.
Yeah.
I've only been able to watch a few of them in their entirety, but just watching the highlights and things like that, it's a really good rivalry that's developing there on the West Coast, and it's interesting because Dodgers have the great history. Many World Series champions, many great players. Padres have only been in the World Series twice. They have kind of a lousy history, but maybe this is the time they finally figure things out and put something
Yeah.
together special. It might be kind of cool to see. I wouldn't hate that at all.
No, I would love that. I'm definitely rooting for them.
Okay, even though they're not one of your teams, you find
No,
them.
they're not one of my teams. I just like them for whatever reason. I'm like, go.
No, it's cool to see some kind of new blood at the top of the leaderboard there, at the top of the standings, and it'd be cool if they could finally figure it out. I think, like I said, they've only been to the World Series a couple times, and I think they only won one game in those two series, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe they can do a bit of rewriting history of their own. Obviously, this is a pretty weak division with those other two teams. Just Colorado and Arizona has actually overtaken them, if you will. The opposite of that for the worst team, worst record in the league, 13 losses in a row. You could see that they're right down there with Baltimore at the beginning of our conversation. So there it is. Those are the MLB standings. Nothing too crazy surprising. I'm going to have an article coming out about this later. Julie's helping me a little bit with that. So thank you so much for joining me. We'll maybe do this again some other time to chat about some other MLB topics. It's been really fun covering the Blue Jays for this Belly Up Sports, and great to have you aboard.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, thank you. So we'll try to do this again some other time. Once again, Graham Wallace here, Belly Up Sports Blue Jays beat writer. Julie Mulholland, the graphic design and baseball intern. Thanks again for being with me, and we'll see you on the internet.
Thank you.